Yeah, yeah. Peace, everybody. Peace, everybody. Welcome to the show.
Hey, brother, how are you?
Peace, Zen. Just so you know, we are already live.
Excellent. Good to be here with your listening audience and yourself. And once again, I appreciate the opportunity.
Yeah, absolutely. Me and Zen have been trying to organize this for a while. I got to apologize to you, brother. I know a few times I missed you, but I'm glad we got you here, and I'm looking forward to the show. Um, I'm just getting out my little notifications here, then we'll get started. Y'all are joining Vortex Open Mic. You've entered the Vortex. Once you enter the Vortex, there is no return. I'm stronger than my pain. Perception is your reality, and Yahshua is king.
Amen.
That's what you gotta know. Absolutely. And so today we are going to be dealing with the flat earth controversy. The flat earth controversy. Now, a lot of people say the flat earth is pseudoscience, and you know, there's so much going around this flat earth thing. Zen Garcia says he has information that, it's for him, it's not even a question. He knows the earth is flat. And so, I'm very interested to see what Zen has to say. For those who don't know, we had Zen on before dealing with some of the biblical history things in terms of the serpent seed and, things like that, and the fallen angels and pre-existence, all those things he deals with. He's the author of 12 books. I mean, he's all over the place with interviews. If you haven't heard of Zen Garcia, you need to get to know him. He has amazing information that you can use. So I'm just going to let you, if you want to just go ahead and, put in your plugs in and let people know who you are and, what I'm saying, where the books you've written, where they can buy your books. So we can get some of that money flowing your way, So go ahead and just introduce yourself to the people again.
Well, I appreciate that, but just know that it's not about money at all for me, but about sharing the information and providing truth and helping people to understand the gospel in a way that can take them to a deeper and more profound relationship with the creator and the creation. And so as far as my books, I am the author of 12. I also am the lead editor for Sacred Word Publishing, and we print and publish a lot of out-of-date, lost, forgotten, forbidden books and make all of that available to the public. Like, for instance, right now we're publishing a book called 50 Reasons Copernicus versus the Bible, and it's basically printed in 1915. It's an exposition on the fallacies of the whole heliocentric Copernican worldview, the whole premise of the assertion that we are living on a planet that is rotating once daily at 1,037 miles an hour, and that we are annually moving in orbit around the sun. Because two things that the scriptures assert, and which I have since, in doing the examination and research on these particular topics, the Bible states in many places in 5 different passages that the earth is not moving, that it was established to be fixed, immobile, and stationary, and that it is the heavenly luminaries, the sun, the moon, and the other planets and the other constellations comprising the Mazzaroth and the zodiac, which are moving in circle around Polaris. And we can see confirmation of this in the time-lapse photography that is taken over the course of a night, which shows all the heavenly luminaries moving at the same rate of speed, at the same velocity in circle around Polaris. And that according to the geocentric biblical cosmology, Polaris is the one fixed star which, being unmoving and being positioned directly above the North Pole as the center of the Earth plane, is the star which navigators have for thousands of years been able to determine direction during night when they're navigating and they're on the high seas, that they know by locating Polaris, being this one fixed stationary star, that it always points to the north, no matter where you are on the circle of the Earth. And that is because it is in the very center of the vaulted dome. And all the other luminaries, as I said with the time-lapse photography, are in motion and movement around it. Um, the Copernican heliocentric worldview states that it is the sun which holds preeminent and foremost position within the so-called planetary system, and that all of the, including the Earth, as one of 9 planets, that we are in orbit and moving around the sun. But this is actually not true, and confirmation of this can be found in the high Arctic North during what is called the midnight sun phenomena, which during the summer solstice, because the sun is located in movement directly above the Tropic of Cancer, and it is closest to the northern pole, you can see the sun actually remain in circular orbit and stay above the horizon for more than 3 days at a time. And you can see it moving from east to west, and then from the western direction back towards the north and back towards the east in full circle. And it will remain above the horizon for 3 full days. And so you can see it doing this circling motion. And there's been many people that have described witnessing and seeing the sun do this. There's video evidence available on YouTube, the people that have actually videotaped this phenomenon, but most certainly it is a confirmation as to the circular rotation, the revolution of the sun and the other planets above the face of the Earth. And all of this is affirmed within the scriptures, in the extra biblical texts, in the canonical texts. For instance, in the book of Ecclesiastes, just that one particular book, it describes the sun as being, well, all things under the sun, meaning that the sun is positioned above the Earth. And all of that, it affirms that 29 different times. And so, and you can find even in the book of Enoch, which when I was, just to tell you the story, many of my listeners were sending me videos and sending me shows and trying to get me to look into this particular topic. And I was extremely hesitant. For the longest time, I refused to do so. One reason was because while I was in college at Georgia State and also in Mercer University, I studied astronomy as my science, and I had spent 3 years learning about the motions, the movements of the celestial luminaries, the stars, the orientation, the dynamics of the heliocentric worldview. And I never, ever questioned or second guessed what I was being taught for all that period of time. And it wasn't um, until I opened myself to the possibility and began to investigate this topic that I realized that just as the Bible says, the earth is unmoving and there is no measurable curvature. And it's very easy to determine these things because there have been scientific experiments going back to the 1800s, such as the Sagnac experiment, Michelson-Morley, Gale, several different types of Michelson-Morley experiments, and also an experiment called Airy's failure, which were all done by scientists that believed in the heliocentric worldview, and they were trying to determine the rate, the velocity of the Earth in its movement around the sun. And when they all failed to detect any such motion, these experiments actually became scientific evidence for the biblical assertion that the earth is not moving. And so, and then the other thing is that one, anybody anywhere living on the plane of the earth, no matter where you are, you can go somewhere out near your location where you are living, whether it's the beach or a lake or whatever, and you can see monuments, the, like for instance the Statue of Liberty if you're up in New York, or like Joshua Nowicki did. He saw this and photographed the Chicago skyline 60 miles out across Lake Michigan. And so there are many different places people can go to wherever, and you can see that, you can see islands, you can see cityscapes, you can see lighthouses, you can see monuments, all of this in extent of what we are told we are able to see according to the measure, the 8 inches per mile inversely squared, which is the formula for determining the measure of the curvature of the earth. And that and so you can easily disprove that there is any curvature. And then even for instance, like the properties of water, water will always seek its level, and it will always gather together in pool and always collect, and it will run downhill until it joins the ocean or a sea, and then it will collect in a horizontal pool. Water cannot gather itself together on a ball and will not ever be contained unless it is placed within a basin and surrounded by 4 walls. And so that's the only way you can contain water. And so for us to, and for science to tell us that the earth as a sphere, that the gravity somehow is able to contain all of the oceans of the world, and that the people on the underside, like in Australia and different places, Brazil, whatever, that all of these people are somehow living upside down on the bottom of this sphere, and this globe, and that the, you know, gravity somehow holds all the oceans and contains it to the surface of the water, yet at the same time a bird or a butterfly or a balloon can escape this magical hold of gravity and rise up into the air at will. It just does not make any sense. And so when you begin to examine some of these issues and look into some of these things, we really, you then have to question yourself as to why you ever believed that we live on a globe or a sphere or a ball.
All right, Zen, thank you for that opening presentation. I have some people in the chat room that are already like, what is going on? They say they debunked this already. So What I was going to do at some point in the show is like I'm gonna leave the lines open for those. Do you mind people calling in and asking questions and challenging?
Yeah,
all
no,
right.
not at all.
So for those who have questions about the flat Earth, the calling number is 617-213-0905. I'm gonna put it in the chat room now. There's one guy in here who thinks it's just scientifically absurd, and he's asking for empirical data. There's another guy who says he'll give you $5,000 for flat Earth evidence. So we have some people in here, for this very controversial subject. So the number is 617-213-0905. So what about people say, well, flat Earth, we got navigational systems, that how does navigation work? If the Earth is flat, then how's the navigational system working for airplanes and stuff like that?
Well, if you really look into the GPS system, all of these are land-based, and just like with the cell phone signals, they are all triangulated using towers. And so the navigation systems, all of that, it works just like with the whole thing with the the direct TV and all of that. Even though they claim this is satellite based system.
Incoming call.
All right, we got an incoming call already.
Sure.
To accept, press 1 to send a voice.
Peace, caller. What's your name? Where you calling from? And do you have any questions for our special guest, Zen Garcia?
Yo, what's going on?
Consul Shesmore Moon. What's going on? What's up, my brother?
Oh man, all is well, man. I love life, man.
That's what's up. Do you have
got a question?
Yeah, absolutely. Get it in. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. I can hear you. I'm sorry.
All right. Yeah. So if you don't know, we got Zen Garcia on the line who says the Earth is definitely flat. What questions do you have for Zen?
Sure. Zen, I just have one question. Could you please give me the scientific method in verifying the Earth is flat? Because if you're obviously using science, I would hope to validate this. So a scientific method can be refuted with a scientific method. So could you please give me the methodology, scientific methodology in which you validate that the Earth is flat?
All right. Well, I already told you of several experiments. You can look them up for yourself. And each one of them is confirming witness to what I've already said with regard to there being no measurable velocity to the supposed spin of the Earth. Science tells us that the Earth is moving at a rate of 1,037 miles an hour towards the east. You can look up these experiments and they will tell you they have been confirmed. They're repeatable even now. Michelson-Morley Gale, Sagnac, Sagnac, and Airy's failure. These 4 scientific experiments, which were done by heliocentrists themselves as a way to measure the rate of the supposed spin of the Earth as it moves in orbit around the sun, that they being set up according to scientific methods and measurable experimentation, they failed to detect any motion to the Earth. And so no matter what you think about the shape of the Earth, it is in no way moving. And that is just a scientific fact. and you can go and look up these experiments for yourself, get great detail on how they were done, how they verify exactly what I'm telling you, and then you will see that really the heliocentric, the whole postulation, the premise that the Earth is moving around the sun, that is all real. Really, that's what pseudoscience is, and there is no motion to the earth. The fact that you can go out and you can burn a pile of leaves and the smoke stream on a clear, when it's not windy outside, the smoke will rise straight up into the air and dissipate up into the atmosphere. That shows you that we are not moving at any rate of speed. The fact that I can go out and look at my flag on many days of the week, and the flag will be completely motionless without any movement at all, shows you that the earth is not moving at 1,000 miles an hour as they claim it. Another thing is, as far as the people that jump out of airplanes, when they jump out of an airplane, they come down and they are able to land at a mark. Just like some people, they land and are able to jump down and come into, for instance, land on a football field during a football game. If the earth were moving at 1,037 miles to the east, there's no way that they would be able to hit their mark unless they were dropped off way to the right of where they were going to land. But anybody that has jumped out of an airplane knows that the earth is not moving below you. And when you come down exactly wherever it is that you want. You don't have to fight the supposed motion of the earth. That's the same thing for the hot air balloons. When hot air balloons lift off of the earth, of the face of the earth, they rise up into the sky. The earth is not moving rapidly away from them towards the east. All of these things affirm, as I said, through scientific method, that the earth is not moving. And so no matter what you think of the shape of the earth, it is not moving. And that is scientifically verifiable.
All right. What do you got to say to that, Carsu? You there?
I'll say, what I'll say respectfully is, if you go based on the laws of scientific method, you gave me information. You didn't give me empirical data or any theory or development within a theory. Is all what you said. You gave me accounts of claims of what a flat Earth is, but there is no working model. Shows or has shown this cultural phenomena has came back again in the last 20 years on the Earth being flat. The argument between round Earth and flat Earth is a cultural political development to begin with. There was an argument in the advent of feudalism. So this argument is going to continue to go on. However, still have not shown me a living working model or give reference to a living working model of someone proving that the Earth is flat. You're giving conjecture with all due respect. You haven't given a working model. There are working models that show that the Earth is flat, that the Earth is round. Sorry, there are working models that show that the Earth is round. And I'm not arguing if you're right or wrong. All I'm asking is that you produce a working model with the scientific method, that some of the methodologies that you've spoken of. If you speak to scientific methodology, that you claim that is, then you will be able to show it and not just talk about it. So
I just explained it. I mean, again, you can go and you can test, anybody can go and see that there is no curvature. You can see way beyond what is supposed to be able to see according to the scientific formula for determining the measure of the curvature of the earth. And it's plain. Like I said, you can see lighthouses at 60 miles distant. You can see the base. You can see the full lighthouse. And according to the way you measure the curvature of the earth, again, which is 8 inches per mile inversely squared, at 30 feet, you're supposed to have so much curvature that you wouldn't even be able to see the lighthouse. And then again, like the people that live in Oahu, they can see Kauai at 100 miles distance, which is not to be able to see that according to the curvature of the earth. And all of this is scientific. And you say scientific methodology. Well, there's nothing more scientific than confirming with your own eyes that there is no measurable curvature. And the whole thing, as far as the sun too, you can go and see sometimes that there are clouds when the sun is setting, that there will be clouds behind the sun, which if the sun is 93 million miles away, there could be no way possible that there could be clouds behind the sun. And the another thing with the sun when it sets during sunset is that you will see the angle of its rays fan out in spectrum. And if the sun, again, were 93 million miles away, all the rays of the sun would hit the earth parallel and in the same direction. All the shadows would be cast in the same direction. This shows you that the sun is very close. It's not 93 million miles away. And these are things that anybody can observe anywhere. Another thing with the way that the sun goes down, when you go to a beach and you see the sun setting out in the distance, you will see from all the way from the sun to the person that is standing on the beach, there will be a ray of light dancing on the waves all the way from the sun to where that person is standing on the beach. There's no break in that line of sight. And that shows you that there is no curvature. Otherwise, we would not be able to see the sun at that distance and there be this pillar of light coming all the way to our eyes. With anybody being on the beach. Anybody that's been to the beach knows what I'm talking about. During sunset, you can walk up and down the beach and you will see a line of light dancing on the ocean waves all the way to where the sun is setting. And that, again, shows you that there is no curvature. And as far as scientific methodology, again, you can look up these scientific experiments which have been done since the 1800s. They can be repeated even now, and they prove without a doubt that the earth is not moving and there is no curvature.
Consul?
Yes. Once again, that's conjecture. And again, I don't want.
No, this is proof. This is proof. You can go and do these things yourself.
Right.
What is conjecture is that the earth is a ball and that it is moving around the sun.
What I will say is I'll give just one example of over 50. Last time I checked, we actually have empirical work that is cited and sourced on our YouTube channel on debunking flat Earth theory. But I'll give you one, and that's elastic. Elastic method can be done to the letter based on the equation using physics and math to this day. And the Fulcrum method can be used, and it's the Fulcrum method today. So it is a tangible thing that can be done and been attempted to be debunked and still has not. So these are the examples in which I speak. Model that public can access to show the validity of a flat Earth. These things are not there. So the scientific methodology that produces something based on the scientific theory or hypothesis, if you follow the scientific method, it has not been done. And there isn't any documentation empirically of a step-by-step scientific method to achieve this claim. Because we're dealing in geology and we're also dealing in astronomy, then the basis would be math and probabilities and statistics. Well, there's no equation that equates to a flat Earth. So that is what I'm asking for, to show a valid working model that is up to standard, that is up to consensus standard, as opposed to a conspiracy or theory against the claim of a round Earth. This is what I'm asking for, so I may be misunderstood, and it's not to discredit anything the church saying, because once again, that would be irrational to do that. It's not going to be done in just a small conversation like this. But the methodology in which I presented, those two are places that has been actually done and that are practiced every single day. I have not seen the flat Earth, and usually with the flat Earth theory comes the conspiracy that NASA is in on it, and that you're not being allowed to show your theories in public anywhere for fear of your life. So until this can happen, then there is no validity to it. It's just a claim. If you can validate it scientifically and show an actual working model, then by all means. But that's all I wanted to say, brother. I didn't want to take up the show. But I just wanted to give input to that. And peace to you, Brother Lex.
All right, peace. Thanks, Consul, for calling in. Zen, are you there? Can you hear me?
I am, yeah.
Some reason people don't take the things that you says as scientific, like, you know, the speed at which the Earth's travel, you know, clouds behind the sun, jumping out of an airplane. You know, why don't people take those things as scientific evidence of Earth being flat? He's saying that that's not a scientific method.
Well, he wants to believe all of what NASA and the astronomers and the astrophysicists, all these numbers and all these formulas, which really they've made a science out of a bunch of BS. All those things are done in order to confuse people and to deny what you can plainly see with your eye. You can go step outside of your house, look to the horizon, and you see that the Earth is completely flat. There is no curvature. And so whatever scientific formula and whatever mathematics you want to create to claim that there is measurable curvature, the fact that there is no curvature debunks all of that mathematical formulas and all of these scientific methods or whatever that you create to determine and to postulate that there is. It's, you know, again, water can never take and will never settle in a curve. It will never adhere to a ball. If you pour water on a ball, if it's not contained, it will leak right off. The whole thing, the assertion that we are living on a globe and that gravity is magically has all of the oceans of the world sticking to this ball, all of that is just it's just ludicrous. I mean, and anybody that does and really examines this, opens themselves to the possibility, investigates it, it's very easy to see and to determine that all of what we have been told as far as our living on a ball and that the Earth is spinning once daily as it moves annually in orbit around the sun, all of that, that is the pseudo.
Incoming call. Incoming call. Incoming call. Incoming call. Incoming call.
1 second. We got an
incoming
call. Peace, man. I'm live on air. What's going on, Tadina?
Hey, what's up, man? I want to just chime in a little bit. I had a couple questions. Just had a couple questions. All
right, go ahead and shoot.
Hey, brother, I'm Brother Tadina. I just had a couple questions.
Go ahead, brother. He can hear.
My first question is, if the Earth's not round, what shape is it?
It's a flat plane, just like it says. I mean, just like we see it when you go out to the desert and you watch the sunset. You look to the horizon. What do you see? You see a flat plane, and that's what the Earth is. It's
So
a
what
flat
is
plane.
the shape? What is the actual shape like? Literally like a shape like we can.
Okay, that's a really good question. It is in a circle. In Isaiah chapter 40, verse 22, it describes the Most High sitting upon the circle of the earth. And that circle is not a globe or a sphere. That when you look up the actual Hebrew terms, it is describing it as a circle, as like a dinner plate. And that there is a ice wall which surrounds this dinner plate, which keeps in all the oceans of the world. And that just like with sea level, that the dry land, all of the dry land, all of the continents which make up that inhabitable part of the earth where humans and all of the land creatures live, all of that land rises above sea level. And so all of the other oceans are contained by that sea level, and they surround all the continents of the earth. And again, the North Pole is at the very center of this earth plane. And right above the North Pole is the star Polaris, the one fixed star that is unmoving and that is stationary. It's positioned directly above the North Pole. Navigators have used this for direction and for determining direction all through thousands of years, and the stars have never changed positions. They've been constant. The zodiac, the way the constellations move over the course of a year, all of that remains constant. And the only way that the stars can remain constant is if they are moving above what is the stationary Earth. If the Earth were moving in orbit around the sun, all the stars that we would see at night would change every night according to such movement. And even with the spin of the Earth, you know, like spinning on as a top once daily, every night when the sun went down, the stars that we see should change, but they don't. They remain constant. They remain steady. We see the same stars over the course of an entire year, even though we see different portions according to our movement and the zodiac moving above us, and that the stars are spinning in movement, just as you see in time-lapse photography. All the stars are moving in orbit around Polaris. And, you know, like I said, if the stars, because science, they tell us, well, let me
get
finish
that,
this
I
thought.
didn't see the part where you mentioned the shape. Maybe I didn't hear it. What kind of shape?
It's like a dinner plate. It's a flat circular plane.
I'm guessing, because you're coming to defend, you know, the theory. I'm guessing you have a shape with you, right?
He said it's like a dinner
I just
plate.
told you, it's like a dinner plate. It's a flat circular
Like a dinner
plane.
plate?
Yes.
So it is round, but it's flat round.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. Is there anything else in nature that symbolizes that mimics that, or that can be, you know, that nature would, you know, naturally produce, other than the dinner plate Earth? Anything else that can be, you know, specified as a natural shape? Because a sphere is a natural shape, and so that's why it's easy for people to see the Earth as a shape, because it's produced in bubbles and all types of different things just come out naturally to the circle. And so, is there anything that the Earth produced that's like a dinner plate?
Well, the Earth is a foundation. It's not like the heavenly luminaries. The heavenly luminaries are completely different from that of the Earth, which is why when even when they named all of the days of the week, they named them after the celestial luminaries, and the earth was considered something completely different, which if you, I don't know if you read or study the Bible, but if you go to Genesis and you read about the creation of the earth was created first, and the firmament was created above the circle of the earth. And then on the fourth day, the heavenly luminaries, the sun, the moon, the stars, they were created as orbs, and they were placed into the firmament, which is fitted above the circle of the earth. And so the earth is older than the sun or the moon or the other stars, and it is the foundation for the heavens. It is not like the heavenly luminaries, that they are not earth-like. The earth is completely different from what we are told as being the creation of the heavenly luminaries. The luminaries were created as orbs, but the earth is the foundation for the heaven.
Like if it's thing that's a natural that shapes like that is the shape you're talking about, that's natural, that we can actually go to the zoo and see, or like see in some kind of natural phenomenon or something.
Well, the earth is a plane. You can go to the desert. You can go outside of your house and look to the horizon.
That, and you know, anything like literally.
What do you mean, like some creature? No, there's no creature that represents the shape of the earth.
Anything, just anything, any type of. It can be fire, it can be wind, it can be water, it can be anything that actually shapes, that has the natural ability to look like the flat earth.
The earth looks like the earth.
Because you know, in nature, it kind of tends to, you know, will repeat itself, and it
what about a stingray?
In just about every single thing
what
it
about
creates.
Ty Data? What about a stingray?
You know, is like,
can you hear?
A stingray is a creature. It's not like the earth. The earth is the earth.
That's all.
Yeah.
I mean, the earth represents itself. Go outside of your house, look at the landscape.
Right.
I mean, even the fact that
life form on this, on it has some representation of it. And so what I'm trying to find, what we're trying to find out is that if there's something that represents that.
Well, what other life form has some representation of it? What do you mean? Like,
right.
If the earth was round,
like because,
what other life form shows that the earth is round?
We let be told that the earth is round, right? And it's sphere.
So
we can see a sphere in everything, all the way into bacteria. We can see spheres in little tiny particles. We can see spheres in, you know, in huge atomic explosions. I mean, we can see spheres in just about everything, in every form of life. So
that doesn't mean the earth is a sphere.
To look at the world as a sphere, because we see it every day, even if we don't even recognize it. We're probably looking at tons of them right now, and so it's very easy for us to believe the earth is round because we see it. But if the earth is flat, and we're just trying to find out what is produced that's flat, that we can say, oh, okay, I understand, that can connect that, like the circle can
what
be
about the land?
With everything.
The land we walk on is pretty flat.
Yeah, but he said it's in a circle though, and plus it's not really flat because we only on the top of it. If you dig it down in the ground, it's going to be all types of lumpy shapes and probably some circle pockets in there.
That doesn't mean that the earth is round.
Yeah, go ahead, man. Go ahead with the show, man. Appreciate it. Thanks a lot. I'm going to talk to you, Lex, okay?
All right, peace, brother. Thanks for calling in. Yeah, I don't know how strong of an argument that is. I kind of know what he's saying, but I mean,
just because, you know, you see orbs out in nature doesn't mean that the earth is a orb.
I hear a lot of people.
Yeah, I hear a lot of people to the horizon and look at it. Go ahead.
I hear a lot of people use that argument. They say, well, the moon is a sphere, and the sun and all the other, planets. So is the Earth? But you're saying the Earth is not like Jupiter or the moon or the sun.
Right. Exactly.
Like it's a totally different creation.
Right. Again, if you study and read the Bible, which I believe is the inerrant word of God, and that it was dictated to Moses, and it was dictated to him by the Creator who established the creation, it tells you in Genesis that the earth was created first, and that on the second day, the firmament was established above it to divide the waters above from the waters below. And then on the third day, the dry land was elevated above the sea level. And then on the fourth day, the heavenly luminaries, which are these orbs, the planets and the sun and the moon, they are orbs. They were created and they were placed into the firmament on the fourth day. If the earth is somehow dependent and part of a planetary system, how is it that it was created on the first day and then the sun wasn't even created on the fourth day? And I mean, that doesn't make any kind of sense. And so the Genesis timeline tells you that the earth is something completely different from the heavenly luminaries, which were made 3 days after it. The earth was created as a foundation, as the inhabitable place for the creatures that walk upon the dry land. And then the fishes were filling the oceans, the birds were filling the air, that all of these different elements and the different aspects of the earth became places of residence for the different types of creatures that were created to inhabit them. Um, but the earth, again, is something completely different than that of the heavenly luminaries.
Now, let me ask you this. Because some people say, okay, well, if it's round, if it's flat, whatever, why is it that if the earth is flat and NASA knows it and scientists knows it, what is the implication? Why push this fear? Like what if they just said, okay, the earth is flat? You think why are they lying to the whole world, lying to people? What is the politics behind it?
Really good question, brother. Most excellent question. But first, I want to share with you and your listening audience, if you look at the United Nations flag, that, this is the seat of world government. They show the earth in orientation as a flat circular plane, and that the North Pole is the very center of the earth plane, and they show a wreath which surrounds this circle of the earth, that it shows you that this wreath is what represents the Antarctic ice wall. So they are showing you that the real true nature and shape of the earth, at the same time that they're lying to us about the so-called scientific evidence for confirming that we live upon a ball. And the reason that they are doing this all has to do with the coming reign of the Antichrist, and also with the whole premise that is being established right now, that the ancient aliens are our creators. And the other aspect for their lying to us about Darwinism and that we evolved the monkeys, and that excuse me, we are living in a ever expanding universe, is because they are setting up the whole premise that the ancient aliens came from a faraway planet, that they're from some distant universe, and that they are coming to save us. There was recently a show that came on the Sci-Fi Network called Childhood End, where they talk about and they show these particular beings. They're called the overseers. They are the rebel angels, and they come to save us from ourselves, supposedly. And they stay in the background and then after 50 years, they come out into the public. And when they do, they basically are the epitome of the devils and the demons, which our Bible tells us that the rebel angels, that the ancient aliens, that this is what they really are these demonic beings. The 1/3 of the angels of the Most High went to war against them and rebelled against them and were cast down and cast out during the ancient times. And in the first show that you and I did, Lex, we talked about the antediluvian age and how we can see in the archaeological record worldwide, we see this evidence of all of these megalithic structures and all of these cyclopean megalithic sites, even the pyramids. All of these structures are constructed in a manner that we cannot even replicate in this day and age at the supposed height of modern technology. This shows you that these things were built and created by a technology which has been lost. And in my opinion, they were also developed and constructed by a presence which we no longer understand. And that when you look at the world mythology, you see during ancient times that worldwide there was the worship of the feathered serpent, and that these particular beings, these dragon-like entities, they were said to have brought down to the world very advanced knowledge and very advanced techniques and teachings. And it is these particular beings that are being affirmed even now as being the creators of humanity. And so the whole thing with the heliocentric worldview and that we evolved the monkeys, all of that is to separate us from belief in God, and also that the Bible is true. And so the important aspect of studying this particular topic is that you learn, once you do, that the Bible and also the book of Enoch and other extra biblical books, they they are all encoded with this ancient knowledge. And they show that, again, that the earth is not moving and that it is a flat circular plane, and that all of these things can be affirmed by observation, that people can go and confirm these things for themselves. And once you realize that science and NASA and the astrophysicists and people like Neil, whatever his name, I forget his name, but
Tyson.
yeah, Neil deGrasse Tyson and Bill Nye and all of these other astrophysicists, that they have been lying to us for a very long time. Then we realize that the Bible is absolutely true, and that the assertions that are made in it are also true, which is why it is 100% prophetic, and everything that has been said within it has been fulfilled, and that 1/3 of the scriptures that have been related within the Bible are written for our generation, and that it speaks about the coming of the end of days. And it also speaks about how, because people have no love of the truth, and because they do not study or read the Gospels, that they are led in strong delusion. And so the Bible warns us that the Antichrist will come and will be revealed before Christ comes again. And so this is what why the world is so ready and apt to bow down before this Antichrist God and to accept him as an ancient alien or as an alien savior. And so this is why, in my opinion, the whole assertion that we live on a ball and that the earth is just one of 9 planets, and that, you know, all of these stars that we see in the night sky, that all of them are individual suns and they all have their own individual planetary systems surrounding them, that there are many Earth-like planets out there that also just happen to, because they are at the right distance away from whatever star they are encircling, that they just randomly evolved life. And so all of that, you know, is affirming that there's this huge universe, and that because the universe is so large, that God really has no real concern for our world and for the actions and the occurrences that are daily happening upon him. But when you realize that there are no other Earth-like planets out there, and that the Earth is unique, and that we were created in the image of God, and that we are special, then you realize that our relationship with God is also special, and that he really is narrowly focused on us as a people and upon the happenings of our world. And so that brings an intimacy back to our relationship with the Most High God, and also with his focus on what's going on in our world. Since we are the only game in town, we are the only thing that's really occurring as far as the universal world.
So it's kind of all tied in politically, historically, like, you know, to discredit the Bible, to support, you know, evolution,
Yes.
you know, to, you know, all those type of things. One thing I do notice is a lot of people will just come out and say, where's your proof? But okay, and I'm not even going to say, because this is kind of new to me too, because I didn't, you know, I've been listening to the different arguments. I haven't really looked into it in depth myself. But one thing I do notice is people always say, well, where's your proof that the earth is flat? But no one ever says, well, where's your proof that the earth is round?
Exactly.
They just accept that, but they don't even look into the possibility. And I'm a person, I believe that if you're about truth, you at least got to hear the argument and look at both sides and say, well, okay, well, let me hear the evidence.
Exactly, brother. Exactly, brother.
It is round. So I think that's very interesting.
Right.
Do you go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say again, when I first began to examine and to look into this particular topic, I also was very hesitant to do so. And once I did, and I really went into it as I would any other topic, and I investigated both sides of it, and I opened myself to go into it with an open mind, with unjudging bias, without believing one way or the other, I realized immediately that the earth is not moving. And again, you can look to those experiments that I brought forth, Michelson-Morley Gale, the Sagnac experiments, Michelson-Morley, and also the Aries failure. These 4 scientific experiments, which were done by people that believed the earth was a ball and which was moving around the sun, they were trying to, through these experiments, determine the rate of the velocity of the earth as it is moving in orbit. And when they were unable to detect any motion to the earth, they realized that the earth is not moving. And that, again, this is exactly what the Bible has stated for thousands of years. And so learning that, and also learning that there is no measurable curvature, that these 2 pieces of evidence, no matter what I thought for the shape of the earth, the fact that the earth is not moving confirms that there's no way that we are moving around the sun. And again, like I said, with the midnight sun phenomena, you can go to these extreme Arctic latitudes, which when the sun is close to the North Pole on the summer solstice, which is on June 21st, it's at the nearest towards the North Pole. You can see the sun moving in circle over the course of 3 days. It moves from east to west and then from west to north and back to the east in a circle. And so it confirms to you that it's not the earth which is moving and spinning that causes the sun to set and the sun to rise, but that it is the earth, that it is the sun moving in circle above the earth, which causes it to, once it leaves our field of vision, it sets in the west, but then it is moving in semicircle above and towards the north and coming back to the east, which is why we see it rise in the morning in our eastern skies. And so the sun is just completely moving in circles like that. And this is verified again by this midnight sun phenomena, which again, you can see the sun moving in this circular revolution, and it will stay above the horizon for 3 days at a time. And you can see it on those 3 days move from east to west and then back from west to east and then from east to west and then back from west to east in a circle. And so it confirms that, you know, again, it is the sun which is moving and not the earth.
Wow, yeah, that's funny you went, because I was just about to ask you about the sunset thing, which is very interesting, because they say, so you're saying that the earth is not moving, it's actually the sun that's moving.
Right. All right. Imagine this. Like I said, imagine that the earth is a dinner plate. Okay. And then you take, imagine that the sun and the moon are the size of a green pea. Okay. Like very small. That the earth, being your dinner plate, is very large. And then you take a pea, a green pea, and you move it in circle above the earth, and the sun is shining down. It has a very finite field of illumination, and this field is the termination line between light and darkness, is what creates day, that wherever the sun is circling above the dinner plate, that its field of illumination creates daytime. And then as it circles, it will continue to rise in the western skies as it is circling. And then when it reaches the vanishing point, it then will set according to perspective. And it seems to us that the sun is disappearing below the horizon, but all it's doing is reaching a point where it is moving in circle away from us, and then reaching this vanishing point, it disappears. And then it is moving towards the north, and it will create daytime for those that live on the other side of the plate of the earth. And then if for the time that it is nighttime here in our area, it will be daytime on the other side of the plate, until it comes back in circle and reaches our eastern horizon. And then when it enters our field of illumination, it rises in sunrise. And that gives us the belief, we believe that, you know, the earth is moving and that the sun is rising up because of the earth spinning, but all it's doing is circling back to where we are on the ground. And then we see that as sunrise. And then it will move in circle above, across our skies. And then once it reaches the western horizon and reaches the point of the vanishing point, it will then disappear again in sunset, and then again move in circle until it comes back to our eastern skies. And that's all the sun is doing. It's moving in circle, which is why when we have daytime, the people on the other side of the world have nighttime. And then when they have daytime, we have nighttime. It flip-flops. It as the sun circles, it creates day and night for the different regions of the earth.
Is the earth bigger than the sun?
The earth is much bigger than the sun, very much bigger. In fact, there is, according to Alex Gleason, who is the person that created the flat earth map, which we are all the people that have studied and examined this particular topic. It's the same as the azimuthal equidistant map that we see the earth being situated and shown on the United Nations flag, which, if you don't know what I'm talking about, just look up the United Nations flag and it shows you the true orientation of the earth as a circle. And so, yeah, the sun is a very small, said to be 32 miles across and 3,000 miles above the face of the earth. And so, yeah, it's very, very much smaller than the earth, which is why when it moves in circle, it's not, the earth is not, the full earth is not in complete daylight, because the sun is very small. It only lights up a small portion of the earth as it is moving in circle around the North Pole.
Yeah, but I mean, it packs a lot of heat, though. I mean, how do you explain all the heat that's coming? Is that not coming from the sun?
Oh yeah, it is coming from the sun. In the book that I wrote, my 9th book, called The Flat Earth as Key to Decrypt the Book of Enoch, I show that Enoch describes the sun being very small, and it moves back and forth between the Tropic of Cancer and the Tropic of Capricorn, which the two solstices are the extremes. Like when the sun is located above the Tropic of Capricorn, it is actually summer in the southern latitudes. It has crossed below the equator, and it is moving in large circles, and it gives more sunlight to the southern latitudes. And so during this time, in places like Australia and South Africa and those portions of the what I call the southern hemisphere plane, that these portions of the earth receive more sunlight. But then when the sun is located directly above the equator, it divides the day into 12 hours, equal 12 hours a night and 12 hours of day. And so that's when the sun is in the very center of the hemisphere plane, located above where the equator runs in circumnavigation around the earth. And then when it is located above the Tropic of Cancer, it is then located closest towards the North Pole, and that's when it is summer in our region, because we live in the northern latitudes, because we live in North America. I don't know where you live, brother, but I live in Atlanta. But in North America right now, we are experiencing summer because the sun is moving towards the Tropic of Cancer. On June 21st, which is the longest day of the year, that's the summer solstice, the sun will reverse course and begin moving southward towards the equator. And then on the autumnal equinox, which is September 21st, the night and the day will be split equally into 12-hour proportions. And then after it crosses the equator, it will begin to it will be fall for us, and it will be moving us into winter. And that's because the sun is moving into the southern latitudes. And that is when they have their summer. the southern and the northern latitudes, we have opposite summer and winter. And it's because, again, the sun is moving back and forth between these two tropics. And the sun, again, it's the sun which is moving in circle above the face of the earth, and not the earth which is moving in orbit around the sun. And so the sun, and proof of this is if you go out on the winter solstice, the shortest day of the year, in like, for instance, I'm here in Atlanta. When I go out on that day, on the winter solstice, there is twice as much darkness as there is light. And on that day, where the sun sets, that will be the most southern that the sun will ever reach on the horizon. And then on the very next day, after the winter solstice, it will start to move back towards the northern skies. On the day that it reaches the equator, for either the vernal equinox, which is the beginning of spring, or the autumnal equinox, which is the beginning of fall, the sun will be located in the exact center of where it will reach in the southern and northern extremes. On the day of the summer solstice, the sun will set in the very extreme northern skies on our horizon. And so this proves that the sun is moving in motion back and forth between these 2 points. And you can go and determine on the horizon on these particular days where the sun sets. And all the ancient cultures, like for instance Stonehenge and these different megalithic structures and sites, which were built in orientation towards the winter solstice or the summer solstice, they show you that the movement of the sun back and forth between these two tropics it's been this way for thousands of years. And again, that some of these megalithic sites are still orientated and still aligned to the winter solstice or the summer solstice, or to the vernal and the autumnal equinox. And so, these are confirmation that it is the sun which is moving above the face of the earth, and not the earth moving in circle around the sun.
Wow. Again, man, thanks everyone for watching. If you tuned in, this is Vortex Open Mic. We're live with Zen Garcia. We're talking about the flat earth. The sphere, or what you would call the globe. I just want to say that with vetting any information, especially here in this earth matrix right now, in order to come to any truth, anybody should always listen to the facts, even if what you hear may sound absurd at first. Because we got to admit, we've been told a lot of lies. We just accepted a lot of things. That's why I think some people think the conversation is irrelevant, but it's not, because it all has to do. Everyone knows I always start this show by saying your perception determines your reality. Now, good people know that, and evil people know that. So if they know perception determines your reality, then all of that matters. The way you view the earth, the way you view the universe. You know what I'm saying? The way you view, your position in the universe. All of that would have an effect on how you chose to live your life. You see what I'm saying? So it is relevant, especially because just imagine for a second, let's say you're in total doubt about it. True. Think about how lost you would be in terms of your perception. Think about how much you just didn't understand. And think about how much more you might not understand in terms of what is reality. So if someone can take your reality and turn it from flat to round, that's some serious power, wouldn't you say, Zen?
Absolutely, brother. And I appreciate your open-mindedness, and in the study of anything, even like with 9/11, and those of us that learned the truth of our government lying to us, and that there was some aspect of it which was behind the perpetuation of 9/11 and allowing it to happen, and that was in order to establish the premise for what we see as far as the war of terror and on terror, and that there was a particular agenda for allowing all of that to happen. None of us, when we began to examine 9/11 and the details behind it, ever expected to learn that first, that there was no plane at the Pentagon, that we were told a Boeing 757 crashed into the Pentagon, and yet, there's no plane parts to be found there, that the plane somehow just disappeared. We were told that, another flight 93, was hijacked and was crashed into the ground at Shanksville, Pennsylvania, and yet there was no plane there either. And the fact that there were more than 2 buildings that went down on on 9/11, and that never in the history of fire previously has any steel reinforced constructed, concrete reinforced, steel reinforced structure ever collapse due to fire. And yet you have 4 buildings, World Trade Center 6, World Trade Center 7, and World Trade Center 1 and 2, collapsing, supposedly, according to the official story, due to their being heated up by jet fuel. And then they all of a sudden collapsed in 11 seconds. Come on. I mean, that is all, it's
Right.
ludicrous, and it's the same thing when you really open your mind and examine what I'm talking about, and you can confirm that the earth is not moving and that there's no measurable curvature. No matter what you think, again, for the shape of the earth, it's not moving. And so the whole premise that the earth is spinning once daily at 1,037 miles an hour, imagine that. You stick your arm outside of your car when you're going 60 miles an hour and you feel all that pressure and all that wind, and they're telling us that the earth is moving at 1,000 miles an hour. That is insane. That is crazy. If the earth was moving that fast, you stuck your arm outside a window, I mean, it would cut your arm off. I mean, all of that is just ludicrous.
Thought that was weird. I can't lie about that. I never bought the spinning earth at the crazy speeds and we just don't feel it because of some gravity or something. Like, I thought that was crazy. If it's spinning that fast, I should feel something.
Absolutely. Yeah. Not only that, but you would see that reflected on the oceans and everything. Even the clouds, they would be moving at an astronomical rate of speed. Like you see a locomotive that's going down the track at 60 miles an hour, and it's leaving behind it a smoke trail, the smokestack, and it's leaving a trail of smoke behind it, and that's only 60 miles an hour, and we're supposedly going 1,000 miles an hour. I mean, it's crazy. And then the other thing, like when you begin to look at the airline industry and how it doesn't matter if you fly towards the north, if you fly towards the east or towards the west or towards the south, it takes you the same, even though there is a Gulf Stream, there is a wind stream that pushes towards the east, and that the storms that they cycle from that way, that the storms come down through North America, that they're pushed from the Arctic, and they cross across the North America, moving from west to east. But still, sometimes the weather systems, like we have storm systems that come up from the south, hurricanes that come up from the south, And you know, the speed of the hurricanes, the winds are supposed to be 100 miles an hour, you know, sometimes more than that. And look at the extreme nature of the winds during a hurricane, and this is only 100 miles an hour, and we're supposedly moving at 1,000 miles an hour. I mean, it's just crazy. Um, and so all of what they are telling us, when you really examine it and you start to question yourself as to why it is that you believe that we live on a sphere, other than we've been indoctrinated since the time we have entered into this world, that we are in elementary schools and the whole classroom is gathered around the globe and we're all looking at it and we're all being taught by the elementary school teachers about the earth being a globe, that we never second guess it, we never question it, we never ever challenge it. And because we never do so, we believe it's absolutely ludicrous for anybody to believe that the earth could be flat. But yet, over the last 500 years of the whole Copernican, Galileo, and all these different scientists in affirming and telling us that we live on a planet which is moving in orbit um, around the sun, there have been people, and there's many books, like, for instance, Terra Firma by a guy named David Wardlaw Scott. It was written in the 1800s. Another one, 100 Proofs by William Carpenter, that the earth is not a globe. We've published a lot of these books through Sacred Word Publishing, which is a company that that I help to run, and we publish a lot of these out of print books. But even Alexander Gleason, he wrote a book, The Earth is Not a Globe, where he talks about all these different things, and he's the one that wrote and came up with the azimuthal equidistant projection map, which is the map that you see depicted on the United Nations flag. And so there have been many individuals which have challenged the whole belief system, but we just are never taught about them. And we are not taught in our schools and the elementary schools or even the universities about these experiments, which I have mentioned at the very beginning of the show. The Sagnac experiment, the Aries failure experiment, Michelson-Morley Gale, these scientific experiments which prove that the earth is not moving. And, you know, again, when you look at them, look to them and examine them, they are real science based upon the scientific real scientific mythology, and they confirm the things that I'm telling you. And so don't believe me, which I know most of you won't anyways, but open yourself to the possibility of it. Give it
Right.
one day of full investigation. Examine, look into, like Eric Dubay, he recently published a book called 200 Proofs That the Earth is Not a Globe. You know, he doubled even what William Carpenter wrote and released in book form in the 1800s. And ask yourself, you know, if these various proofs that are put forth, how it is and why it is we believe that the earth is a globe, when there really is no scientific basis for believing such, and that the real science proves and confirms the Bible, and the Bible saying that the earth does not move and that it was created as a foundation for the heavens, and that the luminaries were placed into its firmament, and they weren't even created till the fourth day. And so, you know, open your mind, go into it without judgment, without condemnation, and then see. Because even, you know, like Kyrie Irving, he just came out recently that he believes that the earth is flat, and that set off a firestorm. You know, and so there's a lot of people that are looking into this and examining it and are being brought to the truth of this as revelation.
I'm definitely going to do more research on it and dig into it.
I'm going to send you some stuff, brother, for sure.
Okay, definitely. I would appreciate that. We got to start wrapping up because a little early because I got to get some things done.
Yeah, no worries, man. No worries at all.
Hey, man, let me tell you, Zen, you are a blessing from the heavens, man. I always appreciate you coming by, and we definitely got to come get you again, man. You have a home here whenever you want to give a message. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, I know you do this because just like me, you believe in Yahshua, the Messiah, and you want to bring to the light. So, you know, that's the whole purpose of all of this, man. And if there's any plugs or any last things you want to say to the people, just let them know before we close out.
Yeah, I would just say that if you really examine this, you'll learn that the belief in the heliocentric globe model, that is the real psyop, that is the real grand deception, and that learning the truth of this, it will help you to understand the cosmology in a way that you never thought possible. That a lot of things will make sense as to, you know, why when you go to the beach and you look out of the horizon, the oceans are completely flat from one end to the other. And, you know, when you see the sun setting, why it is that you'll see a pillar of light from the point that it sets all the way to your eye view. And so these just all these different things, you know, sea level, things like that just don't make sense until you come to this as revelation. But hey, brother, I appreciate you as well. I'm definitely going to send you some things because there's so much information out there now that, you know, it's hard to wade through all of it. But certainly I'll pinpoint some things for you, and so that you can get to the real gist of the matter in a quick manner. And then after you do so, after you examine it some, let's revisit the topic, and, you know, let me know where you're at with it.
Absolutely, man. I'm looking forward to reviewing that information, and yeah, we'll come back, and I'm gonna give everybody my, you know, outlook on it after looking at different information and analyzing things and giving an unbiased report. That's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna make sure I do that, man. So yeah, again, man, thanks for coming out. Everybody listening, make sure you like, share, and subscribe this video. Make sure you go check out Zen Garcia and check out the books he's, you know, the many books he's written. I believe you can find them on where can they find your books at again, Zen?
Amazon.com, Barnes and Noble, on eBay, at Lulu.com, all the, you know, major booksellers, and all those different portals.
All right, so there you have it, y'all. You can find his work out there. Also, if you just check, he, like I said, he has many interviews on a lot of these different subjects. And so once again, it's a pleasure to have you here. Everyone, thank you for coming out. We appreciate it. Remember, perception determines your reality, and Yahshua King. Peace, everybody. Zen, we'll talk soon, brother. Peace.
All right, man. Shalom. God bless all. Good night.